Dogs barked across the village. A coldness swept over them. Emeka's grin faltered. Chike, stop. But Chike could not. His hands moved without his will, drumming harder, faster, the rhythm flowing through him as if taught by another. His chest tightened with fear, but with this fear but excitement. The trees swayed though there was no storm. Shadows stretched across the clearing, long and bent, yet there was no one. And then, voices whispered, hissing, overlapping, too many to count. Emeka bolted. I'm going home. Chike tried to stop drumming, but his arms would not obey. He pounded until sweat streamed down his back. At last, with a final crashing beat, he collapsed, the drum falling silent beneath his palms. He panted. For a while he didn't feel like himself. From the darkness and the moonlight, dark shape rose. They were tall, bent figures with glowing eyes, and their bodies were made of smoke and sand. They circled him, their whispers louder now, like snakes rustling in dry grass. They spoke languages that have been unheard. Chike's heart hammered. He stumbled back. Then, from among them, a figure stepped forward. It was his grandfather. Okonkwo looked the same as in life. His skin shined faintly, like he was made of body and mist. His eyes burned with a light that was not human. "Grandpapa," Chike whispered. The spirit's voice that whispered all growled like thunder at once. "You should not have touched the drum." Chike dropped to his knees. "It was given to me. Mama said it was your wish." Okonkwo shook his head. "I did not leave it to you as a gift. I left it as a burden. It does not belong to mortals. It belongs to the ones you called tonight." He gestured, and the shadow figures hissed, their eyes like hot coals. Chike's body shook. "But why? You were the greatest drummer. You made the spirits dance." The spirit's expression darkened. "Because I made a bargain, Chike. Long ago, I begged the spirits for power, and they gave it to me, but at a price. Each beat of the drum was fed with blood, each festival bought with sacrifice. I carried that curse until my death. Now it reaches for you." Chike's throat closed. He remembered the whispers, the shadows, the way his hands had moved without command. "No," he muttered, "no, I never asked for this." The spirit's eyes softened, only for a moment. "The drum binds whoever holds it, and it has called to you, and you fed it." Chike thought of the animals that fled from him, of Ifeoma hearing his name in the night, and of Emeka's terror. The shadows pressed closer. He felt their cold breath on his skin. "What must I do?" he whispered, pleading. "Choose," his grandfather said. "Keep the drum and bear the curse, or end it and lose what you think you inherited."
Chike's hands clenched. To destroy the drum meant betraying his grandfather's legacy, yet to keep it meant becoming its prisoner. Before he could answer, the shadow surged. A blast of wind knocked him backward. He struck his head against the ground, and stars blurred his visions. When he opened his eyes, everywhere was empty. Only the drum lay beside him, silent, its charms swaying softly in the breeze. The next day, he stumbled through the village in a daze. His mother asked why his clothes were damp with dew, why his eyes were red. He muttered excuses, unable to speak of what he had seen. But the village elder, Mama Ebele, called him to a hut. She was ancient, her back bent, her eyes sharp as razors. She knew. "I felt them stirring last night," she said without preamble. "The spirits do not wake unless someone beats their drum." Chike trembled. For days, Chike lived like a boy, trapped between two worlds. By daylight, he fetched water, weeded his mother's garden, tried to laugh when Emeka teased him. But when night came, the drum whispered. Its rhythm throbbed in his ears, even when it lay silent. Sometimes, he woke to find his hands drumming the floorboards in his sleep, following patterns he did not know. Ifeoma avoided his room now. Once, she thought she saw shadows moving behind him when he sat alone. His mother grew suspicious too. "Why do you look so tired?" she asked one morning. "Are you sneaking to the square at night? Have you joined the masquerade boys?" Chike shook his head quickly. He could not tell her the truth. She would never believe him. Or worse, she would. The whispers only grew louder. Cheek, cheek. They did not always come from the drum. Sometimes they came from the corner of the room, or from behind the door, or from the very air. And then came the hunger. One night, while he played softly to quiet the voices, he felt a sharp sting in his finger. Blood welled on the drum skin. The drum drank it in, literally drank it, the drops sinking into the skin like water into sand. The rhythm deepened, fuller, as if satisfied. Chike dropped it with a cry. His finger throbbed. He could no longer deny it. His grandfather had spoken truth. The drum was not an instrument. It was a mouth. Mama Ebili summoned him again a week later. She did not ask permission. She sent Ifeoma to fetch him, and Chike had no strength to resist. "You look thin," the old woman said when he entered her hut. Smoke from burning herbs curled around her like mist. "The drum feeds, and you grow weak. Do you still doubt me?" Chike lowered his head. "What can I do? It was my grandfather's. It is the last piece of him I have." Mama Ibili's voice was sharp. "Your grandfather chained himself. Do you wish to chain yourself also? You must choose. Destroy the drum, or let it consume you." Her words cut like a blade. Destroy it. To lose the drum was to lose the one thing that tied him to Okonkwo, the man he admired most. Without it, he was just a boy with restless eyes and empty hands. "But if I destroy it," Chike whispered, "then all he was is gone." Mama Ebele's gaze softened for the first time. "Not gone. You carry his blood. You carry his memory. A man is more than his bargains. You can keep his stories, but not his chains." Her words haunted him long after he left. That night, the voices returned, stronger than ever. The shadows gathered in his room, spilling from the corners. The air grew heavy, pressing against his chest. And then, his grandfather's spirit appeared again, looming above the drum. "You are ready." Okonkwo's voice boomed. "The festival approaches. Take my place. Call the spirits. They hunger." "No!" Chike shouted. His hands trembled, but his voice was steady. "I don't want this curse." The spirit's eyes burned like fire. "You think you have a choice. The drum has already chosen you." Chike backed against the wall, clutching the drum to his chest. The whispers rose into a roar. The shadows swirled like a storm. His heart hammered until he thought it would burst. And then, clarity. He saw Ifeoma's small face, pale with fear. He saw Emeka running from the stream. He saw his mother's weary eyes, filled with questions she did not dare ask. He could not drag them into this darkness. This wasn't the life he wanted. With a cry, he bolted from the room, drum in hand. The night was wild with wind, though no clouds covered the stars. Shadows chased him, long and clawed, but he did not stop running until he reached the river. The river that swallowed secrets. The river where the ancestors were said to rest. Panting, he stood at the bank, the drum clutched to his chest. The water shined, black and endless. The spirit appeared before him again, towering, furious. "Do not betray me, boy. This is your inheritance." "It is not mine," Chike shouted back. His voice cracked, but he did not falter. "It was yours, and it killed you. I will not carry it." The spirit's face twisted with rage. The shadows swarmed, pressing closer. The drum throbbed in his arms, alive, desperate. Chike lifted it high. For one heartbeat, he hesitated. This was his last tie to his grandfather, the man who had taught him to love rhythm, to hear music in the wind. To throw it away felt like throwing away love itself. But then, he thought of Mama Ebele's words. Not every inheritance must be kept. With a scream, he hurled the drum into the river. The water erupted. A wail tore through the night, loud and long, echoing from the hills. The shadows yelled as if they burned. The spirit of Okonkwo let out a roar that shook the trees, and then, in a burst of light, he was gone. Silence fell. The river flowed calmly again, as if nothing had happened. Only the faintest ripples remained where the drum had sunk. Chike collapsed at the bank, his body shaking. He wept, not only from fear, but from grief. The drum was gone. His grandfather was gone. And yet, for the first time since the funeral, the air felt clean. At dawn, Mama Ebele found him sitting by the river. His eyes were swollen. She said nothing at first. She only sat beside him, her hand resting on his shoulder. At last, she spoke. "It is finished." Chike swallowed hard. "Then why do I feel so empty?" "Because you are human," she said gently. "We grieve even what harms us. But emptiness is not death. It is room for something new." He looked at his hands. They trembled, but they were still his. He flexed his fingers, remembering the rhythms his grandfather had taught him, before the curse, before the bargains, before the troubles. A slow breath filled his chest. "I am still a drummer." Mama Ebele nodded. "Yes, but now you will drum for the living, not the dead." Chike stood. His heart was heavy with loss, but lighter with freedom. He turned toward the village, his footsteps steady. The drum was gone, but the boy remained. And his story was only beginning.